Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And today we are going to continue on with our basic tutorial of Paradox's Crusader Kings III. Now, this is episode number 9, and in this episode, we are going to talk about our court and intrigue. And many times those two things will overlap. This game is rather unique in the fact that it's not just about raising the biggest army and marching to the next county, taking it over, waiting for your army to build up again, and taking the next county. It doesn't have to be, anyway, a map painter. You can play it that way, certainly. Military is always going to make a difference in these games, and maybe the biggest difference, because ultimately, during this time, the man who had, or the woman who had, the largest military was generally going to get their way. That's just historically true, right? But there were other ways to get to your goals, and that's one thing I think this game does exceptionally well, is give you other routes to go down, alternatives, other ways to play the game. Some of those are birth and marriage and inheritance and figuring out ways to get claims on things and eventually inherit them. Some of that is done through intrigue. And intrigue, I know, is a very interesting topic for a lot of people that play this game because it's just not something you see modeled in other games. In this game, you can have someone murdered. Maybe. You can try. You can have someone imprisoned. You can develop a new lover that's in secret. You can find out secrets about other people and then get them to do what you want them to do. And that's really a big part of the game is getting what are called hooks. And hooks were developed, I've never seen anything quite like it in a game before, developed for this game especially. And what it is basically you found out something about another character and they do not want it to be public, or they at least don't want you to be telling people it, and you can get them to do things that you want them to do. It's just a fascinating game element that really, you just don't see. So it's kind of unique to this game, and it's one of the things that makes this game so great. So let's jump into it. Last time we talked about our council, and as part of that, we talked about our court. And I said last time that our court is made up of it could be our family, it could be people that advise us, it could be knights of ours, it could be our wives. Like Brian's wife, for instance, is part of our court right here. Here she is, Gwendolyn. We talked about her last time. She is part of our court, but there are just random courtiers. There are knights. They do not have to be related to us, and they can come to our court in all sorts of different ways. And you can use these characters to your own advantage, and you should. Many of these characters are unmarried, for instance. You can get them married off to people in another court, send them to Ulster, let's say, and they still have, if they like you, they still have some loyalty to you. You can get them to maybe spy or to find out secrets there or to get to know things. And so, these people in your court, I think sometimes people overlook the court because they don't have very defined roles, but you can go and define roles for them. Now, just like every other player in the game, they've got 3 personality traits, they've got an education trait, and they, will be a member of your house. They may be a member of another house. They've got all of the same characteristics as every other character in the game. Um, you know, One thing that you can potentially do that I was thinking about when I was looking at this character is now I'm kind of looking at him twice. Like, why is he at our court, but he's not part of our family? And you start to get these kind of dynamics, like who are you, right? And it adds to the role playing piece of this. And so, one other thing that you might be interested in is that people that you bring to your court may have claims. And if we look right up here, invite claimants. So claimants are invited to visit our court. Uh, you'll see here it's not available for 10 years. We've just started, and it's just possible the game just locks us out for 10 years. Now you'll see this is one of those things that we can spend prestige on. Again, using prestige as a currency. And think about it. We send out a summons across the lands and say, hey, why don't you come to our court? We have a great court here. That may cost you a little in prestige. You don't seem like that cold, scary ruler, so you don't have as much prestige. But you may get some very interesting people to your court that you can use. Uh, for instance, another way that you can use your court is if they have a very good knowledge skill, let's say, they can uh, take on wards. They can be a guardian of people in your court and help them be have better learning traits, have a better education trait. That's just another use for it. You see here, you can also invite knights to your court. Now, why would you do that? Well, as we get over here, this is also in the decision tree. The decisions are right down here. We just haven't gotten there yet. Um, invite knights, invite claimants, so they're the top two here. If you invite knights, you are going out and saying, hey, if you have a good prowess, so at least three able-bodied men with 12 or more prowess will arrive as guests at court within the coming months. That's great. Why is that great? Well, because knights are a part of your army. And if we go up here to the army, we haven't gone into this much, but we're starting to get there. Levies, these are just normal, everyday farmers that you pull into your army. Knights, however, are your super soldiers. They are going to deal out much more damage, uh, and they're going to help your armies much more. Six knights could be worth as much. I'm not going to say it's worth as much as 364 in common troops. I always think of them as being worth 10. I don't, is that accurate or not? We could run the algorithm, but I do know that they deal out 10 times damage. So the more knights that you have, the better. They're super soldiers. Just think of them that way, okay? Well, you can raise more of them by inviting knights, or at least better of them. The number of knights you can have in your army is based on some of your skills and some other factors that we'll get into in the war episode. But invite knights, invite claimants. If you would do this, invite claimants, you might get someone that has a claim on Dublin, right? You can then use that claim to invade Dublin, and you do not have to fabricate a claim. You don't have to have another reason for it. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with you. If you can use their claim, you can invade Dublin with no ill effects because you'll have a casus belli. And that's what claimants is all about, is getting a casus belli to invade. And so as you can see, I mean, there's just a million ways. We could sit here and talk for hours about how you can use your court, but it's all about marrying them to the right people. It's about using their prowess if you want them to be knights, or claims if you need claims on certain things. It's about using their skills. So, understanding who's in your court, what they're good at, and how you can use them is very important. And it goes to really all aspects of the game. So, when we look at our court, this is our court. The other thing you'll see up here is court physician. So, you have a court physician. You can always appoint one. Generally, over here, insular Christianity, where the bishop does not like us at the start, we appoint him to that because I think it makes him like us like 15 points more. And it really doesn't, I mean, there's not a specific skill that says, oh, you heal people better. He's just our court physician. It's another title, per se, quote unquote title. It's not a title in the game, but we give him this honor. I guess that's a better way of putting it. We give him this honor to be our court physician. He likes us more. Uh, let's hope he does a good job. So, anyway, so this is our court physician, our guest. This man here is a guest, and it's telling us he would make a good vassal. Okay, good to know. Um, and then here we can recruit him to our court. So we will need to come over here and look at the court and say, oh, who are our guests? And then we have our regular courtiers. And our courtiers will stay here unless they get invited to go to someone else's court. We marry them to someone. Maybe we send them to someone else's court. We can do any of those things. But right now, we only have one guest at our court. We could invite him if we wanted to. We'd have to look at our stats. He's an intricate web weaver, which leads me to believe that he is spying on us for someone else. His intrigue is high. I mean, why is he here exactly? Well, it's a good question. Now I want to know. Um, well, we won't really know. We have to, I think we're going to dismiss him. This would make him lose 30 opinion of us for 20 years. Okay, I don't care. It did cost us some prestige. I probably clicked on that too quickly. But I think that actually I didn't. I probably would have spent that prestige. He had a very high intrigue and that education trait. And it's very possible, and maybe I'm just being paranoid. I'm becoming a paranoid king, but we now have no guess. So that's your court. You also can have prisoners. Now, just for fun, I guess I probably should have imprisoned him. I wish I could call him back. Um, our aunt. I'm trying to think who's somebody. How about this guy? We'll imprison him. This is an act of tyranny. Wow. Okay. He will lose 30 opinion of us, and his entire family loses 30 opinion of us. And then you see this use a hook. And now we're going to get into really the meat of what intrigue is all about. So I'm actually not going to uh, imprison him. This is if it happens on decline. If it doesn't happen, this is what happens. So, imprisoning people can have some really negative effects. You can think of yourself as like, well, I'm a medieval ruler. I can just run around and throw people in prison, cut their heads off. It's not always that simple. Um, okay, so your court, your prisoners. All right, let's move on to intrigue. Now, you may remember we're running this scheme against Cossenton. And again, this scheme is not necessarily negative. As a matter of fact, it's a positive. We're just trying to get him to like us better. Sway scheme. I will attempt to make Cossington understand me and perhaps even like me. Now, that doesn't sound like a scheme necessarily as we think of it in common, everyday language today. But in this game, it's called a scheme. This is a personal scheme, and you can only be running one personal scheme at a time. Right now, it's very important that Cossington like us because he will not send us any taxes or any levies from Rose Cray, our bishopric down here. If we come down here, this is where he is located. He will not send us any of these things uh, if his opinion of us is negative. And we're trying to get it to positive because if we can sway him, that will improve his liking of us. So we've been doing this for a while. Now we had a 62% chance of success. Why is that? Well, the base was 50, and because of our diplomacy skill, we get a plus 12. Um, So it says the minimum chance of having this work is 20%. The max is 95%. So it starts as a 50-50 chance. Our diplomacy makes it a 62% chance. And it's a 62% chance as we go on over this period. I think originally this was like 12 or 15 months. We're down to, we can only run this for 4 more months. And so, wow, it's taken a long time. You see all of the time bars here that have gone. Scheme progress, 8 out of 10. Um, the scheme has a 48% chance of progressing each month based on its power and resistance. Scheme power 48, your diplomacy 48. Scheme resistance 0. He's got no resistance against us, which we'll talk about in a second. Um, and we're progressing this thing. Every month we have a 48% chance of progressing down this track. And so it's saying we have about 4 months left until we can get Cosenton to hopefully like us better and have a positive opinion of us. Hostile schemes. A hostile scheme is when you are trying to murder someone, abduct someone, claim a throne, or fabricate a hook. Um, and so you can run a hostile scheme against, a good number of characters. There might be some that you can't. Let's pick up someone, and I wanted to show you this again. Here's our court. This is our aunt. She doesn't really like us. Let's look and see what we can do here. We could sway her. We could send her a gift. These are all personal. We can ask her to educate a child, ask her to take the vows, send her to a nunnery, I guess. Um, Hostile schemes, and this is what we were talking about. We can imprison her, and you'll see all of the effects of that. They are not good. We could try to have her murdered. Okay, let's click on this for a second. There's a 35% chance it's successful. As long as the scheme is kept secret, you are not exposed for the crime of murder. But there's only a 50% chance of that. Okay? So we have less than a 50-50 chance of killing her. And whether we kill her or not, there's a 50% chance that secret will get out. And let me tell you, so we've talked about hooks. That's how someone could get a hook into us. And that is if they found out we were trying to kill our aunt, we would say, oh gosh, we don't want that to get out to the public. They would have a hook on us. It's a perfect example of what a hook is, okay? Um, and then you see how much time. So it's always predicted chance success, and you can see why the chance that it's going to be kept secret and nobody will know about it, and how long it will likely take. Uh, there's a 22% chance of progress every month. You can do the math. Um, this is saying 4 years. And scheme power, scheme resistance. What is scheme power? The scheme power of a scheme affects how quickly it progresses. The scheme resistance of a scheme target is then subtracted from that, giving you a monthly progress chance. Scheme power is increased by the skill of the schemer and their agents and their spy master, as well as by the support scheme's counselor task if the scheme is hostile. Whoa, there's a lot to talk about there. Let's go back to our council and let's go look at Mayor Finsnecta. Mayor Finsnecta has an intrigue of 11. Okay, and we could have seen that here. His intrigue level is 11. That's okay. It's average. You see here, average. Um, Also, one of his three tasks is either find secrets, support schemes, or disrupt schemes. If we had selected support schemes, he will join our scheme and help us try to kill our aunt. Okay? And so that is a lot of what they were talking about there as far as, oh, let's go back down here to our aunt. Let's go back into murder. That's what they were talking about here. Um, when it comes to scheme power. If your spy master is very good, he can help your scheme power. You can regardless of what you do, other people may want to join your scheme, or you may ask people to join your scheme. And if they do that, so let's start the scheme against our aunt. We started this murder scheme. We'll see here. We can invite people to be part of our scheme. And for every person that agrees, and you'll see here, my wife, she can be convinced, okay, but her total has to be positive. So we have to get these scores up and let's see if there's anyone that wants to help us. Some people just refuse outright. Can be convinced. Okay, this is his mother. This is because this is our nephew. It's his mother, but he can be convinced. Um, and so if you can get these people positive by doing certain things, I don't know, I can look at my wife here. I can bribe her. I could use a hook if I had one. And then if she's green, I can invite her to the scheme. And that will make this percentage go higher. Okay? And so we're not actually going to do this. We're going to abandon the scheme to kill our aunt. But hopefully you're starting to see how these schemes work. Uh, you can do that on a lot of, let's say, let's go up to Connacht. Okay? This petty king, let's right click on him and say we want him murdered. Let's say that somehow, I don't know, we've impregnated his wife and it's going to be our child that actually is going to be born. Okay? So we want him dead. As soon as our child is born, they take the kingdom or they take the petty kingdom of Connacht. All right? Um, you'll see we've only got a 10% chance. He's a ruler. It's difficult to get to these guys. Why? Because he also has a counselor that is probably skilled and versed in intrigue. He also has, well, a flamboyant trickster was his education trait. So his intrigue is increased by +4. He's got a 13 intrigue. It's very hard to get to him. Whoa, look at this guy. He's a seducer. Wow, all right. So there's only a 10% chance, a 25% chance that it stays secret. So there's a 75% chance it does not. So this is probably going to be found out. And imagine this is our neighbor. He's also another petty king. If he finds out we're trying to kill him, he may come after us, right? Now, when you start the scheme, you can also invite people that are in his court that maybe might help you. They may have some relation to you, or they may be someone that used to be in your court. Heck, it may be his own queen, but she refuses at a negative 202. There's nobody that close, really. But sometimes that's not going to be true. You may have someone else that wants his throne. His own son may do it. His own, nephew. If his nephew is in line to inherit, if he doesn't have any children, may try to kill him. And that's just for you to find out. You have to go and ask, invite them if you really want something like that done. Okay, discovered secret schemes. Discovered secret schemes um, are schemes of yours that have been discovered. Um, this means someone has tried to run a scheme on you. You have discovered it, and when you discover it, you then can get a hook on them, or you can take you could potentially get a hook on them. You could also use that to then turn around and try to punish them somehow. There's, lots of different things that could pop up here, probably beyond the scope of talking each and every other, each of them, but it's based on your intrigue skill and your counselor that does intrigue skill that will help you discover schemes. Oh, we got to get back to our character here. but that's discovered secret schemes. Hooks and secrets. Now, this is one of the most interesting parts of the game. You'll see this hook right here. This is our daughter, Ain. Ain Nick Murchad Bryan. We just had her, or our wife just had her, little Ain. We have a weak hook that you see here. Put hooks and potential hook secrets. Weak hook. Why is that? Because we're the head of her house. You have a weak hook on everyone in your house. Okay? So if we go back to our character here and we look at that's born into your, I should back up and say that's born into your house once the game gets moving. You do not automatically have weak hooks on your brothers, for instance, to start the game, or on your spouses or your aunt. But any children that start to be born in your house, you have a weak hook on them no matter what. It's just automatic because you're head of the house. You can use your sway over them to get them to do something. Now, what is this all about? Okay, let's just say we wanted to imprison our daughter. I don't know why we would do this. If we normally did this, it would say it's an act of tyranny causing all subjects to lose 20 opinion. Okay, that's not good. You do not want that. You gain 24 dread, but you get an act of tyranny. Now, let's say we use our hook. Okay, that didn't really do much. It popped us up to 100% will succeed, but people still see this as an act of tyranny. Why is that? Well, we have a weak hook, all right? Um, but every time you have a decision like this that could cause negative things, quite often when you're interacting with another character, it will say use a hook. And you can use that hook to either up the chance of success or to decrease the penalties or the negative things that happen when you commit that act. Okay, maybe a better example is let's go. Well, we've only got the one hook, unfortunately, and that's our daughter, because you can always see the hooks you hold, and it's only one weak hook. And you say, why weak hook? Well, weak hook is something like we're talking about here. She's just a member of my family, so I can put pressure on her to do certain things, and that's really what this models. Meanwhile, a strong hook is something you get a hostile secret, something like that that you get on a character that they really don't want to be made public. Maybe they tried to kill their husband. A woman tried to kill her husband. You know about it. That's something she desperately does not want to be made public. You would then have a strong hook. So the weak hooks are more kind of operations of the game sort of thing. This person's a member of your family, something like that. That would be a weak hook. A strong hook is when you have found something out through skill or subterfuge or otherwise. Secrets known to me, you could know secrets. Those generally give you hooks. Hooks on you, okay? Those are hooks that other people can use against your character. And then your secrets. So these are secrets that you have that someone may know, they may not know. Ultimately, they open you up to people getting hooks on you. And once they have hooks on you, they can get you to do certain things. Um, and that's really intrigue. You're going to be potentially running hostile schemes against people. You'll always see a list of those when you right click on the characters. You almost always will be running a personal scheme. The reason being is as long as you can always use one, there's no reason not to be swaying people to your side. So if you don't have anything else to do, now you could, let's just, go up here to Connacht. Let's right click on her. Let's sway. We could attempt to sway her. We could send her a gift. Why don't we try to seduce her? Okay. It will tell us we have a 0% chance. Whoa, man, that hurts. I guess this petty queen does not want to sully her marriage. Well, good for her. It's probably because her husband is a seducer himself. This man is a romancer. She wants nothing to do with this. Well, let's go someplace else and see if we get a better reception. Look at this fine lassie. Um, let's try to romance. Let's try to romance her. We have a 5% chance, okay, over 4 years. Well, that doesn't seem very promising. Let's try to seduce her. 0% chance again that she becomes our lover. But see, you can get these people on your side for certain things. Now, why would we go do this, right? Well, we could make her our lover. She could have a child who actually inherits this throne if he never finds out about it. If the child is firstborn, now they already have children, but well, then that adds a whole nother layer. Let's say that we seduce her, she has our child. That child becomes third in line. Let's just say as time passes, we capture this child in battle and we execute him, and then we have this child killed. All of a sudden, our bastard with her is in line for the title if nobody knows about it and it's considered a legitimate child. Okay? And then all of a sudden, we have a secret, but we may let that secret go and let our child inherit the throne. There's all of these possibilities that you can do if you look, and it's always right click on these people, you'll see diplomacy, you'll see the personal schemes and the hostile schemes that you can run with them. Then discovered secret schemes are schemes that were being run against you that you have discovered. And a big part of this is the intrigue skill of your spy master, which is Mayor Finsnecta. And there he is. He's only an 11. He's not very good. Our spying, our intrigue skill is 10. Now, don't forget, our wife, we could always have her help with intrigue because she's very good at intrigue. And that would pop this up to 15. And if we start to feel like, hey, somebody might try to run a hostile, because all of those schemes you just saw can be run against us as well. And always keep that in mind. All right. And with that, I think we've covered our court and intrigue. Um, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you just want to discuss something, let me know. I would be happy to talk to you about it. Anyway, for Strategy Gaming Dojo, this has been a good time. If you like this episode, please give me a subscribe or a thumbs up or leave a comment. Just let me know what you think about this or if you have any questions. As always, thank you so much. I'll talk to you next time.